Happy Halloween, Lutz, and welcome to News at 9. I'm Amy Jones.
And I'm Matthew Gady. Here's a look at our top stories.
We take a look at the Career Expo and what opportunities it can provide students.
We talked to Flieger RHC about the success of this year's Flieger Fright Night.
PLU in Focus takes a look at the pros and cons of Initiative 5222.
All that and more next on News at 9.
PLU's Chemistry Club held an event last week to celebrate Mole Day. The event showed the fun side of chemistry with colorful experiments and explosions.
Well, the Mole Day celebration occurs during National Chemistry Week, and we call it, this is actually Mole Day Eve because it's the eve right before October 23rd. And Avogadro's number is 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd, which is a super important number in chemistry. It's how we convert to moles, as you might imagine. So we celebrate this number at PLU by hosting a spooktacular. This year we wanted to focus on chemoluminescence and glowing stuff. So we wrote a proposal to the ACS, got some sweet grant money, and bought a whole bunch of new black lights, new fluorescent materials, and we're really excited about that. The goal of Chemistry Club as a whole is to just share our passion for chemistry and educate a whole bunch of people who wouldn't otherwise know about the chemistry that exists around them. Not necessarily convert everybody to chem majors, but just sort of share our knowledge. And Mole Day Eve is one of the events that we use to reach out to the greater community, attract people in with glowing things, and then hopefully just educate them a little bit about this amazing atomic world that's all around them. And then of course we finished up the night with the fabulous professor demos featuring fire and a little bit more advanced chemistry.
Last week's organizations from Pierce County met with students at the first ever combined career and volunteer fair. Students gathered to seek a volunteer internship and job opportunities.
There are so many benefits to the career fair for students. For freshmen, underclassmen, it's a lot about career exploration, meeting employers, learning how to shake their hand, dressing professionally, practicing those networking skills. And pretty much for any student that maybe isn't sure what they want to do, those are definite benefits that anyone can reap from coming.
Yeah, so in the past we've had a separate volunteer fair and a separate job and internship fair. And this year we've worked with Career Connections to kind of combine it to make it all-inclusive and make it an all-encompassing event for students so that they can experience both the job and internship side and volunteer side since they're so closely connected, and you get to know a variety of organizations here in Pierce County.
We gave a list of all the employers that are coming with a lot of the positions that are offered, so students really do land jobs here at our fairs, which is just amazing.
Overall, really good information, really good people there, and I mean, people get jobs there, so like they literally make the careers through events like this. So I think that's pretty cool.
I've networked with a lot of people. I've gone to some informational interviews, and I've had some job offers from the fairs as well. My experiences in the fair have been pretty good. I go just for information to see which companies fit me, as well as if I fit their company, the ones that I like. And it's also, I noticed a change how I conduct myself professionally every year. And every year it's better. Yeah, it's great. It's a great opportunity.
And I think it's going great. It's kind of one big one-stop shop for a lot of different opportunities. This is our first year coordinating it in conjunction, and so logistically we'll always be making it better and ironing out any kinks that we're finding. But I think students are enjoying being able to find internships and jobs over here, and also volunteer positions over there.
Career Connections will host one career fair each semester. The next one will be held in the spring of 2014.
A new club for students who are against abortion started on campus this year. We talked with a group of students to find out why they decided to start the club and how other students can get involved.
We started the club mostly to begin creating a dialogue and getting people to think about what their opinions are. Statistically, our age group is the one that's most affected by abortions. We have the most abortions. We think about getting abortions the most. We have the most events that are unplanned pregnancies. However, our age group is also the least opinionated on abortion, and pro-life matters, and so we seek to just get people thinking about that.
We're very, very passionate about the pro-life, and we want to share our opinion with others, and we want to know other people's opinions. We just love talking to people about it, whether they disagree with us or not. Just the conversation itself is really important to us.
We contribute a much more conservative voice than just about any other group on campus, I would think. It's a pretty liberal campus. We're bringing a pretty conservative idea out. And so if nothing else, this just is a new idea for people to start thinking about. It's going to increase the depth of thought on things, since there are going to be opposing viewpoints out there.
In the broader aspect of things, I just think we want to give women more choices as far as pregnancy goes. We want them to know that they're not alone in their pregnancy, and we have resources for them.
The best way to get involved right now is just to, like our Facebook page, get in contact with any of the officers. We keep our Facebook page updated. We're still getting a lot of the groundwork set as far as getting regular things going, and so if you like the Facebook page, it will be consistent updates as to what we're doing, when we're doing them, how to get involved.
For the most part, we try to keep it non-religious, because we know that, anybody can be pro-life whether you are into a religion or not. So we try really hard not to make it religiously affiliated.
To find out more information about the group and upcoming events, like them on Facebook at www.facebook.com/PLUSFL.
This past weekend, the Night of Musical Theater premiered in the new Karen Phillips Hilly. We were there to get a preview of the show and talk with the cast and crew about the experience.
I want people to come to NOMT, not only because I worked hard on it and everybody else does, but I just want people to realize the talent that we have here at PLU, and just come and support your fellow Lutes and everything. And also, I hope that the show makes you think, it makes you feel something, and I think that's what we're really trying to go for.
NOMT this year is a lot larger in size. We have a cast of about 21 students. We have an orchestra pit of 13. We have a full tech crew. We're in the main stage theater. We're not in the studio this year.
But I'm just so proud and astounded to see how much they bring these songs to life.
My favorite part of every NOMT, to be perfectly honest, is the chair dance. This year we did Big Spender from Sweet Charity, which is a great musical number overall and really, really sexy.
I think one thing people should know about NOMT is that the focus is to push the envelope of what musical theater can do. NOMT is a very collaborative art form, and we cannot expect NOMT to be this glamorous, happy all the time, kind of vaudeville style anymore.
The story revolves around a few couples. Two of them are engaged, and the guy from the girl's past comes back and causes a bunch of conflict, and that's our main storyline. And then we have the side storyline of a married couple that is, their marriage is just kind of falling apart, and them trying to fix it, but not really being able to.
Halloween at PLU means Flieger Fright Night. On October 19th, students from this PLU community gathered in costume to celebrate the holiday. Natalie DeFord gives us a report.
Saturday, October 19th, Lutes wear their costumes to the annual all-hall event, Flieger Fright Night.
Flieger Fright Night is, it has multiple events actually. It's held in Flieger, but it's celebrating Halloween. There's a dance party usually downstairs, clear it all out, and then upstairs there's usually activities held. This year we did pumpkin painting, because pumpkin carving can get a little messy, and then also cookie decorating, which is really fun. And then there's, of course, a lot of candy all in between there.
About 350 students from the PLU community attended the event. The next resident all-campus event is Hong's Discoteca on Friday, November 15th.
The age to buy cigarettes in New York City is officially increasing. A new bill adopted by the City Council will raise the age to buy cigarettes from 18 to 21. Thank you. Mayor Michael Bloomberg says he will sign it into law. It will go into effect 6 months after it gets the mayor's signature. This will be the most strict limits on buying tobacco products of any major American city.
When it comes to types of Halloween candy, chocolate seems to be the preferred choice. A survey conducted by the National Confectioners Association found that chocolate will account for 72% of all candy spending this Halloween. According to market research firm Information Sources, in the past 52 months ending September 8th, Americans spent $3.9 billion to buy 3.5 billion chocolate bars, bags, and boxes under 3.5 ounces. Reese's and M&M's each accounted for more than $500 million in sales.
Thank you, and we'll be back after this next commercial break.
Next is PLU in Focus with Leah Traxel. This week, they'll be taking a look at the pros and cons on Initiative 522.
So here's the deal. I can show you a bunch of footage of third world countries with starving children and roofless shacks. But you've seen that all before. I can play on your emotions and explain to you why you have it so good and you owe it to the world to go out there and help others. But you already know that. The truth is, this is nothing new to you, but the world is still waiting for people like you. So what are you waiting for? Peace Corps. Life is calling. How far will you go?
This new phone is awesome. It has made my life so much easier. You know, I get kind of bored when I'm driving and I need to know what's going on. So now, with this huge screen, a keyboard, and a ton of apps, I can get a text and write back right away, no problem. It's like I barely even have to look at it.
Welcome back to News at 9. I'm Leah Traxel with PLU in Focus. With election season in full swing, one item on the ballot is causing controversy. Initiative 522 aims to label any genetically engineered food for retail sale in the state of Washington, known in shorthand as GMOs. We sat down with Elizabeth Larder, spokeswoman for the Yes on 522 campaign, to talk about some common issues surrounding the initiative.
Initiative 522 is about labeling genetically engineered foods so you and I and all of us grocery shoppers in Washington State can have more information when we buy our groceries to make the best choice for ourselves and our families. 522 is all about providing transparency for grocery shoppers so that when we go buy, some of our favorite packaged or processed foods or even some fruits and vegetables, we have more information about them and we can know if they've been genetically engineered or not. And then we can decide if we want to buy them. And that's really what I-522 does. It provides transparency and allows you to decide what's best for yourself. Instead of having corporations hide this information from you, it allows us to make the best informed decision for ourselves. It is estimated that 70 to 80% of foods in the grocery store would be labeled. And predominantly it's because of packaged or processed foods that may contain genetically engineered ingredients like corn or corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, soy, sugar from sugar beets, pretty common ingredients in our food. But they, are claiming that meat wouldn't be labeled and dairy wouldn't be labeled, but that's just not true. So if there were genetically engineered animals producing genetically engineered, let's say genetically engineered cow, if that was actually existed, then that would be labeled. Dairy and meat from that cow would be labeled under I-522. But since there are no cows that are genetically engineered right now, dairy is not labeled because it hasn't been genetically engineered. So it's actually really simple when you stop and think about it, but it's the no-side corporations that are trying to confuse Washington voters. Interesting is that those studies neglected to point to the 64 countries that do label genetically engineered foods where their grocery costs did not go up. So for over 15 years now, the European Union has been labeling GMOs. I think it's 10 or 15 countries in the last 2 years have passed labeling laws. Their grocery prices aren't going up. So it's a bit of a scare tactic that the no side is using to dissuade people from supporting I-522. Actually, Washington would join, Connecticut and Maine have already passed labeling bills, and then Alaska in 2005 passed a labeling of genetically engineered seafood bill. So I-522 would label the genetically engineered salmon that the FDA is likely to approve, just like Alaska's law will. So we're not going to be a standalone state. And these I-522 was carefully crafted to fit into our current labeling system and meshes with the states that have already passed GMO labeling bills.
Larder also said that products from animals who consume genetically modified foods would not be labeled because the animals themselves are not genetically modified. Next, we'll hear from biology professor Neva Laurie Berry, a plant geneticist, who shared her concern for the initiative.
The idea of a GMO in kind of the transgenic sense is taking a gene that produces a useful trait like drought resistance, disease resistance, herbicide resistance, insect resistance, those type of traits, and putting it into an organism where it wouldn't normally be found. Golden rice has gotten a lot of popularity of can we put like vitamins into rice because it's normally a pretty low nutrient type food. This bill is including that type of technology under genetically engineered because it produces a combination of traits not found in nature, and I find that language in the bill a little disconcerting as well because quite honestly most of our agricultural crops are not in the state they'd be found in nature. It's just been a matter of fluke mutations that people have found in their fields. You know, you're outgrowing these plants and go, hey, this one makes more corn, I'll keep it. Or wheat actually is already a combination of two different species. It's just the combination happened long enough ago that we think of it as a single thing now. So I feel like that distinction is kind of artificial. I have a problem with front of package labeling because we don't do that with virtually any other nutritional information, having mandatory front of package labeling. That's always been reserved for voluntary things like getting yourself certified as organic or advertising we don't contain this particular thing, as opposed to it being a mandatory label. And mandatory labels that are done front of package we tend to associate with things like Surgeon General's warnings on tobacco, of this is a major red flag warning for consumers. And the science simply doesn't support that. My problem with 522 is related to those environmental aspects is it's not going to have any impact on the actual growth of these GMO or genetically engineered crops because of the exemptions built into it. A very large proportion of genetically engineered corn, for example, is used to feed livestock, pigs, chickens, and cows, right? They're the ones eating a lot of the genetically engineered crops produced in this country. And because meat and dairy from animals fed GMOs are exempt from labeling, consumers who want to not support the GMO industry because they're concerned about these environmental effects don't actually have the information to do that. I think the concerns about GMOs in terms of health risks are not valid. In terms of environmental impacts, they may be. And I completely understand people wanting to have the information about how their consumption is affecting the environment, affecting the world. I totally support that. My husband and I both drive hybrids. I mean, I very much understand someone wanting to make consumer decisions based on their environmental impact. But the real problem with 522 is it's not actually giving people the power to do that. It just is making them think they have it. And if it's passed, we'll end up with people with a false sense of security.
Barry said that people who wish to avoid GMOs now can do so by purchasing organic foods, which by definition are produced without genetically modified ingredients. Now let's hear what students on campus had to say about the initiative.
I know about 522, Initiative 522, is that they're talking about labeling and putting everything in all the labels that they know what is going into it, and that's pretty much all I've ever heard of it, actually. So.
And I think they should be labeled because I think that more information about food and stuff you buy is probably better.
That, as far as
labeling is concerned, I think people have the right to know whether their food is genetically modified or not. Whether they decide to eat or not eat that food based on the label is really up to them, but I think that it's really important that they do their research before they say yes or no. There isn't too much evidence to suggest that GMO plants are bad for your health or anything, but there are a lot of ethical things to consider, I think, when making that decision. And so I would say yes, labels are fine, but people need to be informed about the decision they're making.
First instinct, it's good for people to be knowledgeable. It's good for people to know exactly what's going into stuff. Of course, second instinct is there's plenty of people who are like when they found out about high fructose corn syrup, there was the whole no high fructose corn syrup binge that a lot of people went on, and if people would be were able to get more informed about everything that was going into it with a step back from this is terrible, we have to cut this all from our diet, then this would be okay.
The last day to vote is next Tuesday, November 5th. To find out where you can turn in your ballots, check out the Secretary of State's office website at www.sos.wa.gov/elections. I'm Leah Traxel with PLU in Focus. Up next is Natalie DeFord, who's sitting down with Olivia Ash, LASR's General Manager.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back to News at 9. I'm Natalie DeFord, and I'm sitting down with Olivia Ash, LASR's General Manager, and she'll be telling us about an exciting upcoming concert for the PLU community, as well as how students can get involved with LASR. So Olivia, thank you for being here. Can you give us some background information on LASR and how students can be involved?
Yeah. So LASR is Lute Air Student Radio, and it's a completely student-run radio station. We broadcast 24/7. Every day of the year, and it's a great community of people. We have about 50 DJs this year, so it's a good community and it's a lot of fun.
Great, and for those who don't know, can you tell us what you do as General Manager of LASR?
Yeah, there's kind of two sides to it. So I do kind of boring like office work and go to meetings, things like that, but then the other side of that is I get to hang out with really cool DJs, listen to awesome music, plan really exciting events, so I love it.
Yeah, and you are certainly involved with events, and a really big event LASR is hosting next week is the Harry and the Potters concert. Can you tell us a little bit about them and what makes them different from other bands?
Yeah, so if you haven't heard about them, they are a literary rock band. So like the name says, they sing about, their lyrics are about Harry Potter, the books. But even if you don't like the books or you haven't read them, it's really fun. Their lyrics are really witty and silly. They're great.
So did they approach PLU about playing a show here, or did you reach out to them?
We actually reached out to them. One of our staff members is kind of friends with them personally. She's a big fan, so she's been to 3 shows, I think. So she reached out to them and saw if they wanted to come, and they did, and we're flying them out here on the 9th, so it's really exciting.
All right, so on the 9th, when and where exactly are Harry and the Potters playing?
November 9th in the CK Hall up in the UC, and it's at 7:30. And we're expecting a big turnout, so the doors are going to open at 7. It's free for PLU students, and it's just $5 for outside community members.
Certainly affordable. And are there any opportunities for students to help out with the event?
Definitely. If you just search LASR in the PLU website, you to get involved, we'd love to have people help us get the word out by tabling or help with the actual event, kind of see the behind the scenes stuff. So.
Are there any other events coming up that LASR is sponsoring that you'd like to talk about?
Yes, I would. Next Wednesday, we're having an open mic night at NPCC, and we're co-sponsoring with sustainability. So it'll be really fun. It's all unplugged, and it's all by candlelight, so there's not going to be any electricity used during the show. We have a really good lineup, and then it's going to be intermixed with just community members who wanted to play for the open mic. So it'll be really fun.
Yeah, anything else going on throughout the year?
And looking forward a little bit more in the future, we have every spring LASR puts out a student CD. So students submit original music that they write and edit and all that. So it's all student run. We compile it and we put it into a CD, and then we have a big release party. So in the spring, definitely students should be looking out for that. It's a really fun way to get involved and get your music out there, get an audience.
And involvement with LASRs isn't just DJing. What else can people do?
Right, so you can come in and DJ, and we welcome anyone. You don't have to be a certain major or even have an interest in music. You can do news. We have people that do sports shows, so there's that capacity. And then we also have a staff that does kind of more of the behind the scenes like I do. But yeah, people are always welcome to contact us and get involved. It's a great community.
And what is your website again?
Our website is www.plu.edu/LASR, LASR.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Olivia, for being here. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about LASR?
I just encourage anyone who wants to get involved. Even drop by the studio. We're in the lower UC. We're always just hanging out there, so anyone's welcome to come talk with us. And also, another exciting event we're doing throughout the year that Mass TV is helping with is student in-studio sessions. So we're having students hopefully throughout the year filter through, and we'll be filming them and putting the videos of them singing their own music online. So it's kind of a cool collaboration we're doing with you guys, actually.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thanks again for being here. We'll see you again next Thursday at 9. Check us out anytime at massedmedia.plu.edu. For all the News at 9 crew, I'm Natalie DeFord. Good night.